Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter. All right, Uncle Dave, wanted to just talk about a little of the NBA free agency period that's gone on and some pretty big moves that have happened here. Damian Lillard going back to the Blazers and Chris Paul and Bradley Beal going to the Clippers. I thought we'd start with the Clippers with getting Bradley Beal and Chris Paul. The Clippers next year are going to be the oldest NBA team ever,
Oh yeah, I believe it.
average of over 33 years, and so it'll be very interesting to see what happens with them next year. If the season was just a month, the Clippers might have a chance, but 82 games over the course of whole season with those guys, I think Chris Paul will be in the second unit because him and Harden can't play together
Yeah.
on the court together. Harden's an on the ball guy; he won't go off the ball, so. You're going to see Chris Paul, I think, dominate the second unit with the point. And, Bradley Beal, he says he wants a championship ring. So I don't know. Will he take a reduced role and maybe be primary defender and willing to take less shots? I have no idea. So it's going to be interesting though to see because they required Brook Lopez and they have Zubac now. Overall, I think they're from top to bottom a very good team. It's just a matter of will they sustain health and will they be durable over the course of 82 games? And you don't want this to be like a Phoenix Suns situation. That's the scare I think if you're a Clipper fan.
Well, Bradley Beal's full of crap because the Suns asked him to do some of those things and he
I
wouldn't
know.
do it.
Yeah.
Well, he's full of shit. Secondly, I don't know if he could play point, and you're already playing with Harden, which means you have another ball dominant guy with another ball dominant guy. I think it'd be better off if they put Chris Paul out there, and Levy let Harden, catch on the move. But again, very few people in the NBA seem to understand this concept of catching on the move. But the thing is, if you'd play each one of them 30 to 35 minutes a night, maybe this could work. But if you're not going to sub them out automatically, regardless of score, which is what the Sixers need to do at Embiid, instead of trying to play to win a game in January on a Wednesday, somewhere in the middle of fucking like Utah, have some discipline and make your bench the way it needs to be made. People always bitch about not having a bench. I've been saying this for 1,000 years, been coaching 35 years. You make your bench too. Some years you do have more of a bench than others, but you can make your bench longer or shorter. It's up to you as a coach. And they have 8 million guys on the staff. Put them out there for 30 to 35 minutes. Be committed to it. Understand their age is up there. Be careful on back-to-backs, obviously. This is not a fun way to do it. Not the
They're
way I
definitely going to be a deep team, though, because they have Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench. You have
Yep.
Derek Jones Jr., you have Nick Batum, Brook Lopez is
Yep.
projected to be on the second unit, and Chris Paul. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
a very deep team right there. That's a 10 man
Sure.
rotation right there.
Sure. The key is whether Kawhi is going to be healthy or not.
Yep, and they acquired John Collins, who I like as a nice player.
Yeah. Kawhi's the only one who looks like he might be guarding anybody, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So you gotta, again, it's all about matchups in the playoffs, and they'll be a good regular season team like the Lakers will be. But if you get the wrong matchup in the playoffs, they're going to isolate your worst defenders. And they're going to crush you. And so the Lakers will be the 2 or the 3 seed, and the same with the Clips. Maybe if they stay healthy, maybe a 4 seed, 2 seed, or 3 seed.
Timberwolves.
And all of a sudden you'll be, you're going to get matched up right out of the playoffs. And it's going to depend on who you play. It is all about matchups. And the regular season does not have the same value as predicting the playoffs as it used to. So the thing is, I don't see, how this is going to work for them. I don't think it's a bad move. I would have tried to get a little younger. I would have went out and, got maybe Tyus Jones or Trey Jones and try to get them to back up. But these teams seem to bang their head on the wall. It's not an old man's game, especially a point guard. It's point guards break down first. So it's something where their body goes first. So they better be cognizant of that. But they're not. Beal is full of shit. I have no respect for him. At least Chris Paul, I think, is trying to win. Not a big fan of his, but he's trying to win. But Bradley Beal, I never liked. He's always been a pig. And when he went to Phoenix, they needed him to bring up the ball, and he could have passed it to Booker or Durant, and he didn't want to do that. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
I think it's just a matter of are all these guys willing to accept a lesser role or change what they've been accustomed to their whole career in order to win. That's the big thing. You kind of have to have a situation where it's like with LeBron on the Heat. Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade had to change how they played. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, we don't have a prime LeBron here, and it's not a prime D Wade or Chris Bosh in this situation. But I think these guys, you have to, be able to take a bit of a haircut here and take a little bit of a reduced role maybe or change your style in order to win. And I don't know if that's what's going to happen with these guys. Harden sometimes mentally he can come and go, and Kawhi is
Oh
the
yeah,
same way. So they've not been mentally, I think, the most reliable kind of guys. Obviously, immensely talented, both these guys. So I
yeah.
think it makes the Clippers interesting, though. It's definitely an
Oh, they're
eyebrow.
always interesting. They're always in. When you have Harden, you're interesting because he's just crazy, and
Yeah.
then when you have Kawhi, you're dangerous until he doesn't show up. So
And Zubac, I think, is one of the few bigs that's kind of a traditional big still. He's got good
sure,
hands, he's got good feet. He's kind of
yeah,
little bit of a poor man's Jokic. I think he's an
yeah,
excellent
good
player.
player, really good player.
But they're deep. That's why I give this team a chance here. You got some good energy guys off the bench. I mean, Nick Batum, I think, is just a
Yep,
really
underrated.
reliable pro. Exactly. It seemed like in this last playoff run, he just made all the big shots and just is a
Yeah,
great player. Derek Jones, I think, is just an excellent
yep,
guy off the bench, just a high energy guy. And Bogdanovich, I think, is just one of those guys who can just fill it up and give you 20 off
yeah.
the bench. So
They
they
get you a
will,
night where it's 35.
yep, they're going to be, I think, definitely fun to watch next year. But again, it's all about whether these guys can stay healthy. I think,
Sure.
are they willing to coexist and work together? But the fact that they're old, these guys are older, and this is maybe their last shot at it, you're going to think that they're going to do that, and they're going to come together and say, "Hey, what's the best way for us to get to this point A to point B here and be a championship team?" Three Hall of Fame players here on this team, that's for sure. Chris Paul, Harden, and Kawhi Leonard, all the same team here. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens with them, but.
Yeah.
Going to be looking forward to seeing what they do next year. Then we'll move on, Uncle Dave, to Damian Lillard wound up going back to the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think this is a move where this is just him wanting to have a feel-good moment, I think. The concept of him winning a championship now, I think, at this point, at
Oh
his
yeah.
age and torn Achilles, that's done now. The Trail Blazers won't be a championship team in the next year or two here. So
No.
that's going to not, but it's a feel-good story, though. Obviously, I think it's a legacy kind of move for him. In Portland, he's a beloved figure. He's definitely been a big time player there. But what do you make of that move of him going back there? Do you like it? Do you think it's kind of
No.
you
I
wish
think
he
he
could have
should
went
have.
somewhere else?
I think he should have went somewhere else. And maybe have a team that's going to need him around. Maybe in the middle of April, a little of May when he's back. See what happens. But I don't know how quickly he'll heal at his age. I guess that's the big gamble. But
Yeah, he's not going to play all of next year. That's definitely not.
right. So if I was him, I would, maybe I'd go to Portland for a year or two, but I'd try to get, but he's just going to sit there and take a lot of their money, which is why I'm surprised Portland would do this. I think it's a bad move on Portland's part. I know it feels good, but when this guy's taking part of your cap and you suck and you're a young team and you could use
Yeah,
that money somewhere else.
you're not going to get anything out of him next year. He should
Right.
be a player
Yeah.
coach. Yeah.
So it's kind of sucks in that regard, but I don't understand it from either side. I guess he needed a place to crash, so I think it works out for him. But at the same time, for Portland, I mean, you're trying to build a team here, and they had the kid, they had the third pick in the draft last year, and he didn't even pan out well at all. So they had the kid wound up playing in the G League, as the
Scoot
year before.
Henderson. Yeah,
Yeah, he didn't have a good year last year, so it's a little disappointing. But if I'm them, I got to pick it up and I got to find ways to use that money some other way. But then again, it's a lot of bad GMs, and I love people on these websites. Oh, you don't know what the GM knows. Yeah, I know more than what these GMs. Some of these GMs are just idiots. I'm sorry. I mean, that's
yeah,
just a stupid move. You're trying to build a team here. Go pick up a couple of guys who can maybe play 3-and-D for you, and go get a couple of guys who are hungry. A couple of guys on a 1-year deal, maybe some 10-day contracts. Spend your money that way. I mean, to bring back this guy, yeah, it's great on opening night, and he'll get a standing ovation, but he's not checking into the game. And
right.
the idea is to play the game. It's like the year the Nets gave Durant all that money, he didn't play the game. So, I mean, yeah, the next year was great, but you cannot afford in this day and age to sit there and just piss away money. And Portland's going to be bad again. You know that. They'll probably be a little better than last year, but at the same time, now you're putting false security out there. I mean, I hope it works out, but you're getting the fans' hopes up that this guy's going to come back and be good. I mean, maybe he will be, but not in time to get a championship ring there. I mean,
His days of being of potential all-star and everything, that's definitely
yeah,
going to be done. He's going to be a whole year removed and then coming back at the beginning of not this next season, the season after. So you
sure.
can't expect that he's going to give you anything that's going to be, of what he was even when he first got to Milwaukee. So I think it's a feel-good story, but I think obviously he might have some stock in the in the ownership of the team maybe because of him
Yeah.
coming back.
Feel good doesn't win you shit. Last time Portland was great, they had guys from unknown teams. They had Terry Porter. They had freaking Jerome Kersey and Kevin Duckworth. None of those three guys were drafted high. I mean, you got to win in the draft. You got to win in these, find these diamonds in the rough, and taking back Lillard just prohibits you from doing that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think I wish they would have kept the McCollum, Lillard, and Aldridge trio together a little longer. They didn't. I think they losing LaMarcus Aldridge that then definitely Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum had something special. I think
yep.
brewing there, and LaMarcus Aldridge once he left, then obviously it was just done. There was no way they were going to be able to compete anymore. So I think they lacked having another third wing, and they didn't have a great they didn't have a good post guy. So that's kind of what hurt them. And obviously you're going against prime time Warriors, so to beat them, it's not going to happen.
What hurt them too is these teams never have any patience in a different way. So like they didn't learn from the Mavericks. The Mavericks lost so many heartbreakers when they had Dirk, but yeah, you could have scrapped it and broke it up. But you gotta like understand, like, is it better to be and people say, well, you don't want to be in purgatory and win between 40 and 50 games. Being a person who lives in New York, the Knicks were irrelevant for 20 years. And now they're not. They had one good run with Carmelo, and that was it. That team wasn't seriously a threat anyway. And it was really Jeremy Lin who made that team fun anyway. But the point is, would you rather win 50 or 40 or win 20? So don't tell me if you're not going to win a championship, it's not worth it. That's just stupid logic, especially today when you're an ankle turn away on an opponent from being better than them. So, I mean, and these guys get hurt at a different rate than we've ever seen before. So the thing is, like, you got to have some patience. So why would you break up McCollum and Lillard? All right, you want to get rid of Aldridge. He was getting slowing down a little bit. I get it. But then go find a damn power forward and a center. Plumlee was serviceable. Go find a power forward who can play. Like, go do your job. Like, when Kevin Garnett was on the market, go mortgage your future and get his ass. Go do something like that. Like take a run. But these teams don't think. They said, well, let's break it up. Well, break up what? Again, 40 to 50 wins, you're still relevant.
Yeah.
Especially today with the play-in game. Like, so you're making automatic revenue, and I hate to say that, but it's true. And then the other way is you're winning 20 to 30 games, you're not relevant. So I don't understand that theory. I mean, if you want to break it up, but then, they haven't been back in a while now. They're not good.
Yeah, no, they've not had relevant basketball there, and it's at least 7-8 years now.
Yeah, so I mean, they ran into the Warriors, like you said. It's a tough break, but
you had the Lob City Clippers. You also had the Spurs that were still really good at the end of Tim Duncan's reign there. So they were not better than any of those teams. So when you're that fifth or sixth seed, fourth seed there, where you're going up against three teams that are much better than you, but.
But you say that all the time with these teams. I say in every sport, sometimes you're the victim of where you are, and sometimes you really benefit from where you are. And, I hate to use a football reference, but the Patriots for years benefited from that crap-ass division. And right now the Giants are going to suffer because of their division. Giants could be a lot better this year, but you might not know it on the wins and the losses. And
you could be a victim of circumstances, right?
The Vikings have one of the probably the best division of football. There's no bad team in there. So, like, I don't have any sympathy, but at the same time, you have to benefit or not benefit from where you are. I mean, like, all those years, those Orioles teams are good, and then freaking Yankees had Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, and, Bernie Williams and Paul O'Neill. So it happens in every sport.
It's not moving the needle. It's just kind of a feel-good story.
On November 10th, it's not going to feel good anymore when you're 0-2.
Right, exactly.
In the third quarter.
Right.
So there, tree clothes going like this.
He's definitely coming to be there to be a mentor. I think that's basically how what's going to happen with him. So
mentor, Jesus God.
Yeah, I know, but I think I would have given that. If this is Damian Lillard 3 years from now, I understand it. Maybe taking him for one. At this point, I just I don't get
it. I don't get it from either side, but I hope it works out. He's a good dude.
Yep,
you hope it works out.
Absolutely. And then Uncle Dave will move on to. We have a couple of situations here with gambling with the NBA and the league image.
What a shock!
Taking it.
What a shock!
Yeah,
a shock.
With Malik Beasley now, it's under investigation for, there is some clips of him going around where it does highlight. It's like, wow, it definitely does look like something's going on there. And
there's missed open shots all playoff long too.
Yep, there's footage also of Gary Payton Jr. on the bench with the Warriors in games where they're up 10. And it's like 20 seconds left, and guys are making noticeable faces here of disbelief or excitement based on a bucket and meaningless garbage time. So, and also you have the situation with Terry Rozier happened. Gilbert Arenas got caught with basically an Israeli mobster having high-stake poker games. Marcus Morris Sr. was arrested, and then he just paid off $300,000 of fraudulent checks. So my question is to you here is does the NBA here run the risk of because I think we agree every sport doesn't matter what it is the integrity of the game and authenticity of the game is all really you have. If people are watching and they're doubting whether what they're seeing is authentic or not, that's a quick way to lose an audience if you don't have that integrity. So do you
Yeah.
think the NBA here, I mean, these kind of stories are kind of, whistling past the graveyard, but I think you're one or two big players away here maybe of, the lid blowing off this whole thing. So what is your assessment of all this? Because it's too it's where there's smoke is fire. There's too many instances now in a quick period of time. Once we've unleashed Pandora's box here of embracing the DraftKings and the FanDuel era here, and I think you're only going to see more of this, unfortunately, in college and professional sports.
Well, there's so many different parts to this because if you look at it, you got in bed with all these leagues. I mean, I was just saying to your cousin, I was talking to him for his birthday there. I was saying to him that you can't tune in. Now, I'm a person who grew up with the first pregame show ever, Irv Cross on CBS with Brent Musburger and Phyllis George and Jimmy the Greek.
Yep, there's a whole
And
30. There was a whole 30 for 30 on that.
yeah, it's amazing. So great show. Still the best one they ever had. Bad news is I can't find a pregame show that doesn't talk about gambling and fantasy.
No.
So I turn on WFAN. I used to get Mike Francesa's show. It was a good show. He had a lot of pros on. Now I tune in. Everything's about gambling or fantasy. So like I cannot find a football show on the NFL Network on the radio I'm driving or anywhere else that doesn't talk about it. All I want to do is hear about the game. I want to hear analysis. I don't want to hear who's going to get this many yards. I don't want to hear about
I know.
fantasy. I just like if you do, that's great.
Yeah.
But what happened to the person who just wants analysis? And so you got into bed, and now on the bottom of the screen, there's a bet in the middle of every game. So now they're down 8 with 3 minutes left. All of a sudden, there's a bet flashing here. Like you can bet the outcome of the game. So here you are. You got in bed with these guys, and now you got DraftKings and FanDuel, but now there's like 7 other ones that have popped up in the last year that are also getting big. So you can't get in bed with these people and then bitch at these guys for doing it. Now the integrity of the game. It's funny. I was talking to someone about the 2002 Sacramento Kings this morning. I was talking to some young guys in the deli I've been going to, Artie's Deli, and I said, "Listen, why don't you go back, you youngins, and go watch the 30 for 30?" I sat there, I watched the 2002 conference finals, and thought it was crooked. I'm saying that, Scouts honor, nothing's crossed. I was screaming at the TV because I'm not a Chris Webber fan or a Mike Bibby fan, but they deserve to.
They got hosed. Yeah, they definitely
they got mugged at a different level, and so. At the same time, that ref goes to jail. This is not the first time. We know how easy it is to fix basketball. It's happened to CCNY in 1939. It's happened to Boston College. It's happened to NC State. It's happened everywhere. It's easy to miss free throws. It's easy to tank a layup. And yeah, if you slow down the tape, it can look awkward. But I'm telling you, it's coming to college. It's already there. It's already in college, and we just haven't caught anybody yet.
Plus, I think with embracing this, I think you run the risk of the players getting harassed and threatened more. I think with
you already
this.
are.
So I think it's not good for their safety. It's not good for your image. I just think we've gone too much too soon with this now. And for the longest time, I mean, since not the longest time, forever time, you didn't have leagues wanting to embrace these things because of what we're talking about now. They thought that the integrity and the image would take a hit, and you would bring in people that were seedy individuals that didn't really give a damn about the sport. They just wanted to cash in on their bet. And I think now that's what's happening. Now you have guys, especially in the social media era. I mean, I guarantee you, guys that don't hit their over-under on certain things, guys are getting ridiculously nasty messages from that. So it's just, I think it's just a mess in every which way here.
Well, the other thing, too, is now it's not even seedy people. It's everybody.
Yeah.
So now it's not the seedy guy from around the corner who has to give you the password.
It's the kids you teach in high school. Yeah.
Now I told you, I've said this to you for 5 years. Every time we talk, the thing that no one's talking about is the amount of gambling in high school boys. It is the epidemic that no one talks about. The only positive of it is, in my opinion, I think there's a little bit less drug use, but there's definitely more gambling, which I'm happy for the gambling instead of the drugs, obviously. But at the same time, it's sports gambling, it's card gambling. I have people in my class gambling on Japanese basketball, gambling on the, Dubai Inn and the Dubai Classic in tennis. I don't even know how to pronounce the tennis player's name. They're just addicted. And so all these sports have on the bottom of the screen, and that's why you even have and even the way you consume the game now is affected by gambling, and also the gambling within the fantasy sports. The Red Zone is now a more popular channel than any game.
Absolutely.
And that's because my generation watches the game. A lot of your generation watches the Red Zone. There's no right way or wrong way. I could care less about the Red Zone. When I'm watching the Vikings and the Bears on Monday night, if there was 20 games going on, I wouldn't give a shit. I won't watch the Red Zone. The only time I ever did that in my life was when CBS had the NCAA tournament and they would do live cut-ins. That was awesome.
What I'll do is I would have the Red Zone on my computer and then watch the actual, like you could double dip. That's what I think
Right, sure,
you can do.
Sure. The bad news is like you got in bed with all these people and there's a gambling problem. It's like, look at Ohtani. Baseball made it go away.
Yeah.
Ohtani gambling his ass off. He just made it go away.
Right.
So, in baseball, I hate to say it, as a pitcher, real easy to gamble. I mean, you could just walk the ballpark. As a batter, you swing and miss. Well, if you're a Hall of Fame, you only get hit 3 out of 10 times. How easy is it to prove I swung and missed? So you're in bed with all these teams. Football, it's easy to miss a block.
I recommend people watch on Netflix, if you have a Netflix account, the Bad Sports series. There's one about Arizona State Headache Smith. And it's an excellent documentary. And it basically he illustrated how easy it is to fix a game, especially if you got the point guard. Like he said, you start the offense late, you give the guys bad positioning and with the ball, and if you're late in the shot clock, it's very easy to fix a basketball game. There's no question.
And before, like, Mondo Baycott's senior year of college, he was getting nasty texts from people he didn't even know.
Yeah.
And this is where the law needs to step in. But since we have one political party in this country where you can do anything you want, break the law, if you have people threatening a college kid you have to find whose phone that is, and they need to go to prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to go to prison right then and there. One time. They're all not using burner phones. We can find out whose phone that is. It takes 10 seconds. That person should be in jail. So whoever texted Armando Baycott, even though he's a Carolina wuss, I can't stand those bastards, but that person should go to jail. You're threatening a person's life. So the bottom line is you're going to comment on Armando Baycott not making a basket. All right, great. But you need to have some rules here. And you know what? And then they say, well, you need to get Congress involved. Congress can't police themselves. These dirtbags just sat here and we're making money on the stock market illegally. We're going to ask them to step in and police a bunch of athletes? Yeah. No, I don't trust them for a minute.
I think it's just a powder keg here in the worst way. You have just the gambling, you have the social media. It's just all reaching a pinnacle right here. And it's a really nasty cocktail, I think we're mixing here. It's just, I think, going very, very, very bad direction here, potentially.
Well, I got the guy that can solve it. You get Grant Hill and you get a bunch of people that work for him. Everybody trusts him.
Yeah.
Him step in there. You need a guy like that. You get a guy like him, and then he goes out and gets a guy like, say, a Tony Bennett, goes out and gets a Coach K, goes out and gets a Doc Rivers, guys who people trust, who are around the game forever, and you put them on these type of committees. You take care of this because this is out of control. We knew this would happen. I called this about 4 years ago on a podcast, and here we are. It's out of control.
We've talked about it. I just think Adam Silver as a
worst commissioner, him and Bud Selig,
commissioner has just been very bad. I think he's just not been good. I think it's just there's not anything I can point to where you're like he's elevated that in the game.
Oh,
no. He's living just off of what David Stern built. There's no.
The only good idea he's had is if he does the International USA All-Star Game. I think that's positive.
Yeah,
but that would be a good thing. But at the same time, I think the All-Star break should be maybe a little bit longer so the guys don't have a threat of being tired. And also because the game is different now, I think we need to, like I said many times, 72 games, no back-to-backs. And because basketball is not a game of numbers. It's not like baseball where you do 60 homers, 61 homers, 100 RBIs. Basketball's not like that. No one goes, oh, you need 2,000 points in a season. No one knows what the hell that means.
Right.
72 games instead of 82 games, it's not going to kill it. It's just a sign of the times. I'm a realist. It's like the pitch clock in baseball. Purists can say all they want. The game needed it. You have to adjust. The ghost runner was needed. So you have to make adjustments, and Adam Silver doesn't do anything for basketball. I'm hoping that the All-Star Game thing catches on, but they really need to do something about the load management. And like I said, I'd like to see them put somebody on the IL. If you're going to miss a game, you got to go on the 5-day IL or the 10-day IL. None of this crap where you're sitting out. I mean, these people are paying top dollar. You're paying $1,000 at the Garden. And you're going to – like Kawhi Leonard's not playing tonight? No way. So gambling, definitely a problem, and I'm not shocked. And, how about a goalie in hockey? How easy would that be?
Oh, God, yeah. In soccer or hockey, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the puck's coming at you 100 miles an hour. I mean,
right, exactly.
Baseball, I struck out. So here we are, and they had this problem in, the World Series. the Black Sox scandal. So this is an age-old problem. CCNY was a national championship. Now they're a D3 school that's not even been good for 50 years, partially because they got nailed with their hand in a cookie jar. Like I said, it's happened to Boston College. It's happened at NC State, CCNY. It's happened many places. And this will not be the last we ever hear from this. And the college guys are next because even though they're making money, if some gambler offers you 50 G's and you're a sophomore.
Absolutely. You're going to listen. Absolutely. There's no question.
Hey, miss me a couple of free throws tonight, kid. You're a sophomore? I'm sorry.
There's because how many of those guys, even if they're making NIL, they're thinking, oh, I should be making more, or I'm not making anything, but now's my chance to make money. It's just only going to get worse and worse.
Yeah. And that's why I still say with the amateurs, there shouldn't even be a line. I know that would be sacrilege and we'd have to sacrifice some money in this country, but it shouldn't even be a line for these games because it's the sporting world. Go watch Rollerball, kids.
That's a movie, right?
Watch Rollerball. What happened about how sports got so commercialized that it ruined everything, and here we are. We're getting close, but it's just we definitely have a gambling problem, and I'm not shocked. Like I said, Beasley missed a lot of really good shots in that Piston-Knicks series that people were wondering how he was so streaky from game to game. He actually determined the series in some ways because a couple of games he was really good and they won. A couple of games he wasn't and they lost. So it now makes you wonder. Yep. Terry Rozier, I feel bad for because Terry Rozier had a promising career, and obviously it's blown up.
It's a guy who once he got away from the Celtics, it just went all downhill. The Heat was a disaster with the Hornets. It's just been bad for him ever since he left Boston. I think these guys maybe take for granted when they're in a stable foundation with an organization like the Celtics. There's some teams that the organization kind of keeps you buttoned up and on the straight and narrow, and guys leave and they flounder. And that's kind of what's happened to him now. He's kind of a punchline now. Before, I think he was he was part of a team that was competing for NBA titles year in and year out. Now all of a sudden he's just in no man's land now, getting in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, well, it's like you said before.
It's a concern when you have guys who are former NBA players, current NBA players, just getting in trouble left and right here now. So it's
Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas was as talented as any guard in the league.
Oh, he was
6'3", was explosive.
Yeah.
And he just played himself right out of the league, and it's just a shame because he might be funny on a podcast, but in life he's not. He really blew some great opportunities. This man was a Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame talent. He was on the pace surely for the Hall of Fame. Now he probably cost himself that because he didn't get enough years in.
Yeah.
This guy, when LeBron came in the league, this guy was like him and LeBron would go at it the first couple of years in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Gilbert was a great player.
It's like Isaiah Thomas. By 33, he was done. Gilbert Arenas just done. Just unbelievable. But his ability to fill it up, though, he can definitely put it in the bucket, Gilbert Arenas. No question.
He was unbelievable. In a modern game, he'd be going off because there is no defense. And so he'd be filling it up.
And like you said, people forget how strong he is. He watched the other day his 60 points against the Lakers in 2006. Just unbelievable, this guy, how he could score. Like you said, if he was in the modern-day NBA game now, he'd be only better. But Gilbert Arenas, he's kind of like the Kanye West now of like the former NBA players.
Well, I look at even a guy like a Tariq Evans, who I loved. This is the guy who's out of the league. Tariq Evans was, Jesus Lord, his rookie of the year. 6'5" point guard, could do anything. And then you get a guy like Michael Carter-Williams, who was a very talented kid, and he surfaced again. Not as talented as Tariq, but Michael Carter-Williams now announces for the ACC network, so it's good to see him back. But Tariq Evans had like Hall of Fame talent. And that's just a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, there's no question. Uncle Dave thought move on to the next topic here. Ben McLemore just got sentenced to 100 months in prison after a sexual assault conviction. And I think this is just a story that's a shame in every sense of the word here. This is a guy who, out of Kansas, just immensely talented. And by the age of 28, his days of playing in the NBA were done. Average for his career 9-2 here, and the guy who was just obviously extremely talented, but the guy who's now found himself in hot water, and he'll be in prison for 8 years now. So I just thought, since we cover all things basketball here, what were your expectation of him as a player coming into the league? And
coming out of college, he's very talented. It was going to be up to his jump shot because he was athletic enough and he could finish. But coming out of college, you knew it would be his jump shot that would either set him apart or keep him where he was. And but then again, these guys forget how talented the rest of the league is. And so if you don't really work every day, and we don't know if he did or he didn't.
Yep.
That's what we talked about. Ja getting back in the league and Knox getting back in the league. And sometimes when guys get the game taken away from them, they realize, holy shit, this is a talented league. Like a kid like Kevin Knox, his body was terrible. Macklemore had a great body. Macklemore had an NBA body. He was an NBA athlete. Like I said, 9-2 at, that's not even a bad average. 9 points a game in the NBA is pretty quality player. So, that's almost a double digit score in the best league in the world. So the bad news is a guy like that, who knows where he could have went if he could have kept. And you just you get involved with the wrong people. I don't know anything about the case itself.
Yep.
But you get involved with get involved in a bad situation. Might not even be the wrong people. It's just,
Oh, these guys are targets. I hate, it's a fact. These guys are targets from anybody, men, women, doesn't matter. These guys, everybody knows who these guys are, especially in social media age now, and people. Aaron Gordon said he took a girl on a date and he could see on her phone she's typing in Google Aaron Gordon net worth. Absolutely. They live a great life, but they also live a cursed life at the same time.
Charles Barkley, in the old days, people would try to pick fights with him in the bars in Phoenix and Philly. He was known for throwing guys through glass windows.
Right.
People would just try to start with him because they knew he wouldn't back off. So, these guys are targets, and that was even before social media. So these guys today, you're right. It's
forget it.
Ben Gordon, talk about a talented guy who just faded quick. Oh my God.
Yep.
Ben Gordon, holy.
I think also what you talked about too, guys don't realize maybe necessarily how talented and deep the NBA is, but you also have a new crop of studs and all-stars potentially coming in, year out. So if you are not iron sharpening iron here, you could be out of the league quickly. Like you said, you have 3 years to prove it. You have your first contract to prove that you belong in the NBA. If you don't do it during that time, you're probably going to be out.
Well, the majority of people who watch basketball podcasts probably watch it from the player angle. I'm going to tell you from the coach angle that my job when I was a college coach was to find someone better than the.
Absolutely. Your job is to recruit better players. Yep. You're trying to replace who you got. No question.
And so she used to say to the 4 levels, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, I'm trying to find someone better than you. So
absolutely.
You want to be dishonest to them. Rosie's in the booth. Hello, Rose. How are you? So she's doing good. But, you're trying to find someone better, and the NBA is a business, and so they're trying to find someone better than the guys coming in. Trying to find someone maybe who's willing to do what the other player won't do.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I wasn't in Ben McLemore's locker room, so I'm not sure. But at the same time, he was out of the league pretty quick. I don't know if there's an injury there somewhere or just, what the story was. But the thing is, if you look at it, they're so talented. I mean, look at the guy on the Duke bench, Avery. I mean, people don't even know. Go watch 99 Duke and tell me how good William Avery is. Go watch 07 Syracuse and tell me how good Johnny Flynn is. 09 Syracuse. Go watch that and tell me how good Johnny Flynn is. Those guys are out of the league in a hiccup. So the league is so talented, and you never know what happens to a guy like McLemore.
He had foot surgery. He had also these guys, the bangs and bruises here. They get these foot injuries, and you're, as an NBA player, the torque that you're having to put on your body here and your muscles here, these guys, if you get a bad injury or two, you don't respond well to it, that could be it for you.
And we also talk all the time about this. I've mentioned this many times. Like, if you're in a good situation, like we could just use modern examples. Look at the kid who played for the Celtics for a couple of years, a great shooter. The kid from I can't remember his name now. He's so obsolete now. He was a good big guy off the bench, light-skinned kid, could shoot, heavy-set kid, good college player. Lost in the NCAA finals, I believe, to Kentucky, I want to say. Who's the big center? Not the big center. He's like 6'8", 6'9". What the hell was his name?
He played for Boston?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Then they moved on. The year they got rid of Marcus Smart and him. And, now he's, they won an NBA title without him.
Grant Williams?
Yeah, Grant Williams. Look at him. Where's he now? So, if you take a good look at a guy like that, such a value to the Celtics.
Yeah, he had the battle with Jimmy Butler in the conference finals a few years ago.
Now you look at Grant Williams, such a good player, very heady player, very knowledgeable player. Was coached well, son of a coach, I believe.
John the Hornets, Uncle Dave, where all players go to die.
Yeah, so you look at a guy like that. So, obviously Boston saw something in him. And now, you just don't know what happens. I mean, people are always in the, if you're in the right spot. We've talked about this with guys like Kelly Tripucki, even who's an all-star. Sometimes you leave a spot, like we just talked about before, and with Rozier, who is so talented, such a good player, so good for the Heat. I mean, for the Celts. It didn't work out after he left, but A lot of it is luck. So McLemore might hurt his foot. He might be out at the end of a season. Can't get on a team in the summer league. Who knows when he injured the foot? So all of a sudden you don't get a look for the next year. It hurt you at the end of the season, but now you can't be in the summer where you need to work because you're not a household name. That's why you see a lot of guys still play summer league even after they've been in the league 1 or 2 years. Maybe a guy like that couldn't do that. So now all of a sudden you're stuck in a situation where now you can't go to a camp and try out.
And also the other thing, unless you're an all-star or close to an all-star level player, if you're not in the loop, GMs and coaches forget about you real quick.
Oh God, it's so competitive. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, think about it. I mean, so like the job of the coach is to give the best guy the chance to come in. So when you sub anybody out, what you're basically saying is, I got someone who I think can do it better than what you're doing it right now. That's what a sub is.
Right.
Sometimes it's a blow if you go by the Dean Smith thing where you give your fist, you come out and you go back in. But for the main part, it's, well, you're not doing this. You're not sealing the baseline. So I'm coming in to get you.
Right.
So that's my job. So at the same time, same thing happens in the pros. And like I said, Ben McLemore was so talented. He's a force of nature. He was like, look at Big Baby Davis.
Yes.
Glenn Davis kind of was like a comet through the sky, and now he's gone.
Right.
And this
to his credit, though, he carved out a role. He was kind of a tweener. He wasn't necessarily
my point
center,
is,
but he wasn't a power forward either.
He was here, and now he's gone. And same with Grant Williams. I mean, we don't know if we're going to hear from Grant Williams again. Now, Grant Williams has value to me.
Right.
But if you're a coach who doesn't see that, that's why, like we said, it's a lot of luck who coaches you. You had the misfortune of playing for the great Coach Fenton there at St. Anthony's.
Yep.
Instead of Coach Ryan, who was a much better coach. So it's a lot of bad luck involved in situations. So it's or you could be like Ryan Hickey, who played for 3 different college coaches in 4 years.
Yeah, just dysfunctional. Yep.
It's misfortune. So that's a hard thing. To play for 4, and if you include high school, he played for 5 guys in 4 years. So that's a lot.
Too much. It was like Alex Smith. People talk about him, he didn't live up to his expectation. I'm like, he had like 5 different offensive coordinators in 3 seasons. It's like, come on.
Plus, he still had a damn good career too.
He did, yes. Yep. But it's the same thing with, like you said, basketball. It's, you can't be changing coaches constantly.
It's stability and but yeah, like a Ben McLemore was a great example, but like I said, we joked about it a couple of shows back, but the Where the Hell Are They Now podcast. I mean, there's endless guys that we could talk about. I mean,
oh yeah,
you just talk about how talented.
That show will definitely come up before college basketball and pro basketball starts. It's just too juicy a topic there. Because, but he asks a guy like Ben McLemore coming out of Kansas. When he gets drafted, if you were to tell him, hey, by 28, you're going to be done, he's going to say, no way. There's just no way, guys, believe you. He's thinking at that point, I'm just going to be in my prime right there.
Well, go look at Lenny Cook. Lenny Cook was the shit. Lenny Cook
that documentary is one of the saddest things ever. But Ben McLemore taken 7th by the Kings. You're thinking, I'm going to stick around for 15 years here. But not everybody has that career. Not everybody has a fairy book story.
And that's where, though, you feel like some organizations are cursed. So, like, I still like the Kings are one of those pseudo cursed organizations. So here we are 2 or 3 years ago. They have the big light in the sky that the
the beam.
They had that thing going. You have De'Aaron Fox, who probably is a top 3 guard in the league at that point. And
it's just gone now. That's all done now. Yeah, there's none of that.
What the hell are you doing? And you held on to the other guys. I love Monk, but he's not De'Aaron Fox. So, like, you don't let Monk and Fox leave. You fix that.
Yeah, you find a way to keep that together, right?
Like you go get a couple of 3-and-D guys who are like 6'10", who are going to defend, and you keep those 2 sons of bitches together,
right?
So like, there's no way you let that happen. Like you don't let those guys get out the door. Did the Sixers let Mo Cheeks and Andrew Toney get out the door? No,
you don't let that happen.
I mean, I know they have Moses Malone and Dr. J, but you would never let those 2 guys get out the door,
right?
You just don't do that when you have a good backcourt. Look at that backcourt had length at 6'5", 6'6". I mean, good God. And
you had Barnes, you had Sabonis, you had Fox, you had Keegan Murray.
I'm sorry. Go get the Murrays. Go get a center.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's on the GM. And again, we talked about this. The Nugget GM sucked. That team had the freaking Thunder by the balls, and they were injured and had no depth. If you did anything.
I know.
If you do anything, you have a shot at a second title. Now,
next year. Well, it's funny. The guy they just picked up, if they had Valanciunas for that series last year, they might have won that. They might have won that series.
But like we just talked about, and everything always comes back to these conversations we've had a million times. If you don't commit to getting Joker off his feet, and you don't commit to getting Joker down to like 38 minutes a game in the
Got to do
regular
it.
season,
Got to do
you
it.
got to do it. You got to say to Valanciunas, I know you don't want to be here because that's the rumor, but you need to
You
play.
have a unique opportunity though here. It's a
Yeah,
very unique opportunity.
but you could also play them together and let Joker play at the high
Absolutely.
post.
Yep. Yep.
But you
Absolutely.
got to get him off the floor, and you
It's what
can't
the
worry
Knicks have
about
to do next year with Jalen Brunson. There's
right,
no
and
40 plus.
you can't worry about winning a goddamn random Monday night game in Atlanta
Right.
to sacrifice and play him 42 minutes. You can't do it. All right.
Right.
So what you got to do is you got to get this guy so he's a little bit more fresh because his shooting numbers were a little down in the playoffs for
They
Joker.
were. Yep.
So the bottom line is he's still the best player in the league, in my opinion. I think that's pretty obvious. But at the same time, you have him for another top Joker, maybe for another 2 or 3 years. You got to get another title out of this guy. And if you
Oh,
only
you
get
got
one,
it'd be criminal if you only have one.
yeah. And if you only get one, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, that's the
And
thing with the Packers. Between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, you have 2 Super Bowls. That's a travesty right there.
Well, as a Viking fan, Aaron Rodgers only got back to one other, and it was the next year. So the
Yeah.
bottom line is like, what did you get out of that? So
Yeah.
that's failure. I'm sorry. When you have Aaron Rodgers, you cannot afford.
And it's not a situation like with the Jazz, where, like you said, those Jerry Sloan Jazz teams with Stockton and Malone, those were overachieving teams. Those teams really had no business being in the finals.
No,
They were not
no.
talented at all. But I mean, John Stockton was not a great scorer. He was an excellent
Right.
passer. Karl Malone was a great player. But think of it, though.
Jerry Sloan.
You have Antoine Carr and Jeff Hornacek. I mean, Jerry Sloan has to be a top 10 coach of all time, getting those teams to the finals. There's no question.
He is. And the funny thing is, people don't realize when you watch those NBA finals how much more athletic the Bulls were.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And so,
Ron Harper at the point, just the length and everything that the Bulls team had.
And what people forget is when that happens, you get easy baskets. And so, like, you might get 4 easy baskets a night, and the Jazz get 1. That's 6 points. All those games are tight.
Right.
And so the casual fan just doesn't see that. Those
The
easy
fact that
baskets.
the Jazz made those finals as competitive as they were was actually a miracle. Like you said, the Bulls, just top from bottom, were just more immensely talented, athletic, every which way.
Well, that second three-peat Bulls was so deep and talented. That first
It's
three-peat
ridiculous.
Bulls, first three-peat Bulls had some vulnerabilities. That second three-peat Bulls length was insane.
Yeah, Brian Williams, Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman. You had Jed Bushler. You had also Bill Wennington. Like you said, they just could throw. Yeah, Tony Kukoc, like you said, 6'11", full forward. Yeah, these guys, just the depth and the length on the Bulls was just incredible on that. Like you said, that second wave.
And so people forget that, how the length does change things on a defensive end. Like back then, there were 2 types of defenses. You could play defense where you go station to station, like those Pat Riley teams, or you could play defense where you get baskets. And so the basket defense is the better way to have it if you have those players. And so look at it. Michael Jordan's the shortest guy in that starting lineup.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Ron Harper is 6'7".
Ron Harper, don't forget, was a 20-point scorer in this league as a young man.
Yeah.
And sacrificed his role. So, you take Ron Harper, Scotty, and Mike at the 1, 2, and the 3, and really it doesn't matter who pushes the ball. And then you got Kukoc and Rodman out there. If you go with those 5, I mean, today those 5 would clean up because they just would play defense. And then off the Brian, people forget how good Brian Williams was. I know he changed his name, but Brian Williams was a very good player. Brian Williams was one of those guys.
Scottie Pippen attributed him largely for what he did off the bench for those teams.
Brian Williams wasn't a flake. He could have been an NBA All-Star. Brian Williams was a lot like Jason Williams of the Nets way back in the day, rebounding machine. Brian Williams would disappear for days on end. He had some issues upstairs in his mind, I think, but he was a hell of a player. He was a really good player. He was very underrated. He was a lefty, just a really heady player. One of those guys who I guess, there was always something going on with him, but he was a top-notch player.
Uncle Dave, thought we would conclude with this quote from Rick Pitino here saying that he thinks the days of pure point guards are over. And when Rick Pitino says something that involves something that's defining in the game, you have to listen, I think, when he makes an assertion like that. So what is your assessment of what Rick Pitino said there, that the days of basically the floor general, he's basically said the only guy in the NBA who's like that, traditional point guard, is Chris Paul now. He says the days of having the floor general and traditional point guard is over. I agree with him. You don't really see it anymore.
I think Rubio still is. If
he retired, Ricky Rubio, but he's one of the last guys. Yes, correct.
One of the last guys. I think that the kid Kendall from Carolina.
Kendall Marshall. Yep, he was. Jose Calderon was as well.
I think the two Jones boys are both point guards.
That's
True
good.
point
Yep, those are good.
guards.
Those are good. Those are good
Um,
point outs. Yep.
I also think that what else happens is I think it's the offenses today, not really. It is a copycat league, and like we've said many times, why people are copying the Warriors without the Warriors shooters is beyond me. And in case they've checked, the Warriors last couple of years have struggled, but because they don't have the second best shooter in the history of the NBA anymore. They have the first. But so the thing is, the offenses now is all about spreading the floor, getting downhill, and if they help, you kick it. And so that's been basically, and everything's pick and roll, and people are switching. So if you switch with my point guard, you don't want to pass that ball off. You got a big on you, like Rudy Gobert. No offense, Rudy Gobert's a great player, defender. But if I have Steph Curry with Rudy Gobert on him, I don't want Steph to pass. And so the game has become more about assists off the penetration for like 6 or 7 assists a game. But at the same time, Rick has got more basketball wins than I'll ever have. But I also want to say that this is not a new thing. Jerry West was like a Steph Curry point guard, where Jerry West was a great scorer and played the point and played shooting guard, so much so that you could really say that him and Steph are both point guards and shooting guards. It's like Tim Duncan being a center or a power forward. You could claim
Yes.
both.
Yep. Guys are kind of in between, right?
But if you go back and look at Jerry West's numbers, he's scoring 27 a game. Point guards don't do
Yeah, they
that.
did. Right.
Then again, we had Big Shot wasn't really a pure point guard either. He played point for the Pistons because they really didn't have anybody else to play point, but he really wasn't a point guard either. But at the same time, he ran the point. So I think there's a difference. I think it's
You talking about Chauncey Billups, Uncle Dave?
Yes, Big Shot.
Yep.
So bottom line is I think it depends how you play, and I think it depends on your personnel. Chris Paul is a point guard, but even when he was on the Rockets, he really wasn't a point guard because if you remember, they were playing kick and shoot also. And when they were playing with Harden and that team that took the Warriors to 7 games. So the thing is, like Tony Parker, pure point guard, obviously doesn't play anymore.
Jason
in college,
Kidd.
yeah, and Jason Kidd was pure point guard. Oh my God. And I think in college you still see some.
It's also has to do with some of the systems that they're running college too. Yep.
Yeah, like I said, if you're spreading the floor and just trying to get downhill, which it depends who's covering you. A lot of teams now, you'll see this more than ever, multiple guys bring the ball up. So the thing is, like, especially in the playoffs.
You see a point guard by committee almost. You see guys that are just that they have the green light to start the offense. You don't have a guy.
Yeah, well, to me, it makes sense because if I see a defender on you, I'm going to take you, see if I can get you downhill. It's all about getting downhill today. So the thing is, it was always good to get downhill, but now it starts that chain reaction of help and no one playing defense. And so you're not allowed to put allowed to put a hand on a guy. So, but yeah, I think, whenever Rick Pitino says something, it speaks volumes. Those days of Bob Hurley point guards, yeah, I think those days are, he was a pure point guard. But then again, he won the MVP of the Final Four in '92 and, torched the freaking Michigan on the way to doing it. So obviously, you always got to be able to score. Isaiah Thomas was a point guard who led his team in scoring. So it can happen. Like I said, I think it's, I think today it just doesn't look like the point guard, but I think that's what the point guard of today is. So Steph Curry technically is a point guard, but obviously, when he's bringing the ball up, he's really not the point guard because he's such a good shooter that you have him.
Oh yeah, he's got the green light to just pull it up. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but also he passes off and he cuts through, and you can read either way he wants to go, and so that makes sense. But I think Rick Pitino's probably right.
The offenses are just totally run differently than they were even 20 years ago.
And I think that it depends on, like I said, what you're running. It's just a totally different game. So I think we still have them as far as a traditional sense. I think he's right. I think the other thing he said way back in the middle of the winter was more accurate, though, where we don't recruit high school seniors anymore. I think he's
that's absolutely a fact now.
That's even more factor for St. John's, because unless it's Cooper Flagg or somebody like Edgecombe, obviously you're not really looking for high school seniors right now. I can tell you this from my own personal experience. Even back in 2021 and 2022, you were not seeing high school seniors, even at the D3 level, getting as much recruitment because people were waiting for transfers because they had that COVID extra year. And so people were waiting later and later, and even it affected D3 recruiting. I saw it with one of my own players.
It's a shame for the high school players because me being a player, your son being a player, you want to play right away. But you said, if you have a situation where you have a guy who's 2 years, he's seasoned. He's already been in a college weight room. He's been in maybe not your system, but he's been in college system, so he's familiar with the process. It's just hard to compete with that.
Well, I was thinking about this yesterday, and it's going to sound corny to people out there who never coach, but the frustrating part for coaching today is if you're a guy who wants to be a part of like young men's lives in like a basketball way and like build a team, those days are over. Now you have to like microwave your team. And so like you got
I
to like build
mentioned it
it
to
every year.
people. I think we're at a point now where the best college teams, you're never going to see any of those teams eclipsed now because it's impossible now to create that. There's no way you can create what basically Duke did in the early 90s. You can't
Oh
do what
God.
Kentucky did in the mid 90s. It's impossible to duplicate that now. So the best teams that have
Yeah.
ever been, that's over and done with now. You could just do the
Like
best you can for today's time.
I think what we could do is we could see that those some of the oldest teams of all time will appear, which will give
Maybe, yeah,
them
maybe like you said, if you have a bunch of guys that are older, yep,
yeah, like if you can go get like one of those UNLV teams from '90 where those guys are older, from junior, some couple of junior college guys,
yep,
Larry Johnson being a junior college guy from the Dallas area, you can do that, especially now since junior college is not going to count your years, which I think is just asinine. So that means you can stay in junior college and play basketball for 7 years.
that's
I don't know what's the limit.
right.
And then you're going to come out of there, and you'll be 25 years old, and you have 4 years of eligibility left. You're going to start taking men,
Can't have that. Yeah,
but then those guys will then totally give up their NBA options because the NBA won't look at you if you're like when you get out if you're 28.
yeah.
So like it's I think like it's going to be hard to compare teams, but I still think we're going to see some really good teams. But like I said, it's microwave coaching right now, and it's such a situation where that's why we're now like look at what goes on in the colleges right now. They're all in the gym going twice a day. You never were allowed to even go near your team. I used to
Right.
have to run above the track just to see who was in our gym playing pickup at
Right.
the D3 and the D2 level. That was my job. Go running. I was young, so like, hey, go run for an hour. All right. So let me know who's in there.
Yeah,
So like,
you basically had to do a COVID. You had to isolate yourself from your team.
right. Yeah, that was the rule.
Yeah,
And now we're openly going 2 days. I don't even know where the hell this stuff happened from, but now you're allowed to go 2 days, 2 a days all the time. And these teams are already been practicing since June. So like the kids are coming on campus and like you've already got a team. So you're microwave coached. And so the problem is that for a lot of guys, there are guys now who already know they're transferring because by now you can see the rotation in practice. If you've been practicing twice a day since June,
yeah. You can tell where you stand right now.
exactly. Since
Yep.
they're getting paid, they can't get out. But you already know there are guys that are already transferring. Like they can't do shit about it now because the cutoff is done. But at the same time, when July 1st came, now you got that schools are allowed to pay up front and they have a cap. So the thing is, there are guys who are already going to transfer, and that's how it works. So they take that $21 million that these schools are now a part of in the collective, and they have to space that money around. They're allowed to pay you, but the nil is still unlimited. But at the same time, those guys are going to be in a situation where these guys are already thinking, geez, I feel like I'm the 11th guy here. I should at least be in the top 8. I'm out.
Right.
That's coming. No one's going to say that yet because they still hope that they're going to play. But you can kind of tell who's going to play by about
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
after the first week of practice. Maybe you get a surprise or two every other year or two as a coach because you know what's coming. I mean, maybe today it's more because these guys are first year guys, but like me in high school, I know after 5 or 6 days who's going to play. Definitely, maybe I get a surprise.
Right.
Maybe somebody grows, somebody gets a little extra testosterone going, and all of a sudden, like a guy steps up. But at the same time, like you can tell. And so some of these guys are already thinking, "Hey, Mom, I'm out." Like, how do you like it? It's Arizona. Oh, I'm out, Mom. I'm feeling like I'm going to play. So
Yeah.
you can tell it's already going to be there. But yeah, it's a great it's a great system in a bad situation because microwave coaching is not as fun as building a team and being a part. Like you used to like know your guys. Like, hey, I'm going to help you get a job one day. I'm going to help you do this. Like that's gone.
Yeah, it was a bit of like a clubhouse, that you had built up. Now it's just like
You're part of the
guys
person's
coming in and
life.
going out now.
Yeah, now you're a pimp. You're a
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
their life.
you essentially
Now
are, for lack of a better term. Yeah, you really are now. Yeah,
you
guys,
are, and now
you're running a brothel.
now you're all like basketball. You're nothing else. You don't care about like.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
you
only
really
right, right.
do you know the individual anymore? I mean, people say, "Oh, that's corny," but you don't. You don't know the individual anymore. So, to me, it's atrocious.
No, there's no doubt. But I think Rick Pitino, I definitely think he, like you said, this is an observation. I think that a lot of people I think have had now. I think in the recent years, it's that your point guards now might be your leading scorer now on a lot of teams, and
Yeah,
it used to be, I obviously had exceptions like Isaiah Thomas with the Pistons, but I think also Isaiah obviously he was a gifted player as far as scoring the ball, but I think he also had to do that too because the rest of the team was not necessarily great scorers on the team, so Isaiah
yeah,
Thomas had to take on the scoring load.
yeah. That's the second worst offensive NBA champ I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
life.
he had to get 27, 28. Otherwise they weren't going to win.
94 Rockets are the worst NBA offensive team I've ever seen in my life to win a championship, and
That's
the
up there.
early '90s Pistons are right up there with them. They had Dumas and Isaiah, but everything was a pick and pop. There was no post game. Buda Edwards once in a while would hit one. Blaine Beal would hit from the outside, but everything was just 180 by assault you on defense, and that's how they won because the offense was horrendous. It was disgusting. Go watch it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no, I definitely that was rough and tumble basketball, no question.
It just wasn't good offense. They didn't have great, and they gave away Dantley, and Aguirre was out of shape, and there's nowhere compares to Adrian Dantley, despite what people might think. It's not even close. So Adrian Dantley could shit on him any day of the week.
Yeah, Mark McGwire and the bad boys 30 for 30.
Oh my God.
It was totally ridiculous
Oh,
that statement there. He said player to player, and he said not even close.
Adrian Dantley was the 9th leading scorer when he retired in NBA history. Mark Aguirre was fat when he retired. Okay,
right,
so
right. Plus he had kind of on the court problems with guys too. So he was not that Adrian Dantley didn't, but my God, as far as just an overall pure basketball player, Adrian Dantley was definitely better than Mark Aguirre.
AD's a stud. Go look, it's not even close.
Right.
It's just disgusting. I mean, it's just Mark Aguirre's living in dream world. I mean, he just knows that AD's not going to say anything because he's a good dude. But Adrian Dantley was a fucking beast.
Yep.
6'4.5" guy who could isolate and post you up.
Yeah. Bucket getter, as they would say.
Only made 3 moves his whole life. I went to a clinic where he was at 3 moves: strong side drive, crossover, jab. That's it.
Yep, less is sometimes more.
It is more.
It's about being just efficient with the pace and spacing, and your ability to pivot and things like that. That's how you can get buckets. This whole thing of bag talk. It's one of the most ridiculous, frustrating things ever. It's like if that were the case, then the N1 mixtape teams would have been the best teams ever. Then if that's the logic that you're using, then just totally ridiculous.
Well, plus by the 3rd or 4th dribble, the whole gym knows where you're going is help. So it doesn't really work.
Exactly. It was really highlighted and illustrated during the Last Dance Bulls documentary. Basically, the pitch to Michael Jordan was we have to have more ball movement because if one guy is dominating the ball, you can create a defense to key in a guy like that. Even as someone as great as Michael Jordan is maybe the most destructive scorer ever. Even in that case,
well, like I said,
find a way to generate a defense for it.
Give me one guy to prepare for, I'm taking you out. I might not win the game, but I've done it to guys who I coached against in high school are now NBA players. They'll help their career low because I know how to fuck your shit up. So
right. Because your only way of winning is you have to make someone else beat you.
Exactly. So I'm taking you out.
Yep. We'll wrap up there, Uncle Dave. All right. So all you basketball fans out there, live long and prosper. May the force be with you.